Can humility and self-doubt cause us to doubt God? Was God angry with Moses' lack of faith? Do we have doubts about ourselves? Do we trust that God can use an imperfect person such as us? Let's look at Exodus 4. Did Moses doubt that he would be believed? Do we also doubt, afraid to share the good news? Then Moses answered, "But behold, they'll not believe me or listen to my voice, for they'll say the Lord didn't appear to you." How did God reassure Moses? Does God reassure us to tell the good news? The Lord asked him, "What is that in your hand?" "A staff," he replied. Then he said, "Throw it on the ground." He threw it on the ground, and it became a snake. Moses ran from it, but the Lord told him, "Stretch out your hand and grab it by the tail." So he stretched out his hand and caught it, and it became a staff in his hand. "This'll take place," he continued, "so they'll believe that Yahweh, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you." What other assurances did God use to encourage Moses in his task? How does God encourage us? Again the Lord told him, "Put your hand into your bosom." He put his hand into his bosom, and as soon as he brought it out, it was leprous, like snow. Then God said, "Put your hand back in your bosom." He returned it to his bosom, and as soon as he brought it out, it was restored, like the rest of his skin. Then if they don't believe you and respond to the first sign, they may respond to the second sign. But if they don't believe even those two signs and won't listen to you, then take some water out of the Nile River and pour it on the dry ground. The water you took from the Nile River will turn into blood on the dry ground. Was Moses still rather unsure of himself? Do many of us have similar reservations? And Moses said to the Lord, "O my Lord, I'm not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since you've spoken to your servant, but I'm slow of speech and of a slow tongue." What was God's answer to Moses' self-doubt? Was he really doubting God? And Yahweh said to him, "Who's made man's mouth? Or who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Isn't it me, Yahweh? So now go, and I, even I, will be with your mouth, and will instruct you what you shall speak." Did Moses continue his self-doubt and try to pass the task to someone else? But he said, "Oh my Lord, please send someone else." Was God angry with Moses and his excuses, his lack of trust in God? Then the anger of the Lord burned against Moses, and he said, "Isn't there your brother Aaron the Levite? I know that he speaks fluently, and moreover, behold, he's coming out to meet you. When he sees you, he'll be overjoyed. So you're to speak to him and put the words in his mouth. And I myself will be with your mouth and his mouth, and I'll instruct you in what you're to do. He shall speak for you to the people, and he'll be as a mouth for you, and you'll be as God to him. And you shall take in your hand this staff, with which you shall perform the signs." Did Moses seek leave from his father-in-law? What about the death threats hanging over his head in Egypt? What about his family? Then Moses went back to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, "Let me return to my own people in Egypt, to see if any of them are still alive." Jethro said, "Go, and I wish you well." Now the Lord had said to Moses in Midian, "Go back to Egypt, for all those who wanted to kill you are dead." So Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey, and started back to Egypt. And he took the staff of God in his hand. What further instructions did Moses receive from the Lord? Did God harden Pharaoh's heart? Was Pharaoh already stubborn in heart? Or is the human heart just hard? Scriptures seem to indicate all three scenarios. And the Lord told Moses, "When you arrive back in Egypt, go to Pharaoh and perform all the miracles I've empowered you to do. But I'll harden his heart, so he'll refuse to let the people go. Then you'll tell him, 'This is what the Lord says. Israel is my firstborn son. I commanded you, let my son go, so he can worship me. But since you've refused, I'll now kill your firstborn son.'" Had Moses failed to circumcise his son? Was this a point of contention in the family? On the way at a lodging place, Yahweh met Moses and wanted to kill him. Then Zipporah took a flint and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet. And she said, "Surely you're a bridegroom of blood to me." So he let him alone. Then she said, "You're a bridegroom of blood because of the circumcision." How did the two brothers, Moses and Aaron, join up for the mission? The Lord said to Aaron, "Go into the desert to meet Moses." So he went, and Aaron met him at God's mountain and greeted him with a kiss. Moses told Aaron what the Lord had said about his mission and all the signs that the Lord had told him to do. Did the elders of Israel believe Moses? Did they believe God? Later they brought together the leaders of Israel, and Aaron told them what the Lord had sent Moses to say. Then Moses worked the miracles for the people, and everyone believed. They bowed down and worshipped the Lord, because they knew that he'd seen their suffering and was going to help them. Can humility and self-doubt cause us to doubt God? Was God angry with Moses' lack of faith? Do we have doubts about ourselves? Do we trust that God can use an imperfect person such as us? You decide.